Happy St. Patrick's Day, kindergarten friends. I'm sorry that we're not together today, but we're still going to have some fun. I hope that you're wearing green on this St. Patrick's Day. We're going to start on St. Patrick's Day. We hear a lot about little leprechauns. Leprechauns are kind of like little elves or little fairies. Can you say the word leprechaun? Good. Now let's punch the first sound. What does leprechaun start with? Oh, great job. What letter makes the O sound? L. Good. Now say the word with me and let's clap out how many beats are in leprechaun. Leprechaun. How many beats do you hear? Let's clap it together. Leprechaun. 3 beats. Good job. I've got a poem for you today, or a song. It's called I'm a Little Leprechaun, and it sounds a lot like I'm a Little Teapot. This is I'm a Little Leprechaun. Let's look at the words. I'm a little leprechaun, short and green. I hide gold coins so they can't be seen. Can you find them all? Are you ready to play? Good luck to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And it goes like this. I'm a little leprechaun, short and green. I hide gold coins so they can't be seen. Can you find them all? Are you ready to play? Good luck to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Now you sing it with me. I'm a little leprechaun, short and green. I hide gold coins so they can't be seen. Can you find them all? Are you ready to play? Good luck to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Our story today is called The Luckiest Leprechaun, a tail-wagging tale of friendship. And it's about a leprechaun. His name is Mackenzie Shamrock, and he's going to meet a very unexpected friend. The author of this book, her name is Justine Corman. What did Justine Corman do if she's the author? She wrote the story. She wrote the words. The illustrator of this book is Denise Brunkus. If she's the illustrator, what did Denise Brunkus do? She drew the pictures. Good job. So let's read today on St. Patrick's Day, The Luckiest Leprechaun. The Luckiest Leprechaun by Justine Corman, illustrated by Denise Brunkus. Mackenzie O'Shamrock at your service, but you can call me Mac. I'm a leprechaun, and I don't care if you believe in me or not. Get too close and I'll show you who's real with my hammer. I may be small, but we leprechauns are not to be trifled with. There. Now that that's settled, pull up a toadstool, or a chair if you're big, and I'll tell you my story. I was born beneath a fairy hill back when time was new. Ever since, I've been making shoes for the fairy folk and guarding my gold from greedy people. Treasure hunters have to get up pretty early in the morning to get the best of Mackenzie O'Shamrock. And since my leprechauns work at night and sleep during the day, I'm up much earlier than most. No, they haven't made a human yet who could outsmart me. Then people found a new way to boil my potatoes. They stopped believing in leprechauns. They believed in all sorts of nonsense, but the little man making shoes beneath their very own hedge, couldn't possibly exist. It got so that only children and oddballs like Professor Chester believed in me. I didn't need people anyway. I had a nice home under a tree in a quiet park. As long as I had my gold and my work, this leprechaun was content. Every night I cobbled for the fairies. Since all the little things do is dance and lose their shoes, business was steady. Every morning I'd pack up my tools and curl up in my cozy bed. And that's just what I was doing one fine morning when I heard a horrible scratching overhead. Dirt poured down on my favorite armchair as a pair of giant paws burst through the ceiling. My thimble collection clattered to the floor. I grabbed my hammer and I ran outside to see who was wrecking my house. I expected a goblin or some other horrible monster. Boys and girls, who do you think is wrecking his house? What could the monster be? I found a shaggy red dog burying a stinky soup bone.
"Hello,"
she barked.
"Who are you?"
"I'm Mackenzie O'Shamrock," I shouted. "And you've got some nerve destroying my house. You'll not be stealing my gold, you mangy mortal. So take your bone and go."
"I'm sorry. I didn't realize anyone was living here,"
the dog said.
"Is that your gold? It's very pretty."
"Go! Shoo! Get lost!" I shouted. The dog didn't budge. Shaking her head, she said,
"I feel terrible. I've got to make this up to you. I'll fix your house. I'll be your guard dog."
"I don't need a guard," I said.
"But you must need a friend. Everyone needs friends,"
the dog said.
"My name is Lucky. What's yours?"
Well, that made me even madder. "Mackenzie O'Shamrock," I yelled.
"Oh, that's right. You did tell me,"
Lucky replied.
"But that's so much to remember. May I just call you Mac? I hope we'll be friends. Everything's more fun when you do it together, don't you think? Just the other day
Lucky would have gone on like that for hours, but I told her to go away and stay away. Apparently, stay was the only command the dumb dog knew. From then on, wherever I went, there was Lucky. She was slobbering over me when I woke up at dusk. She was on my heels when I gathered cobwebs for thread. Lucky even tailed me when I made my deliveries to the fairies. And she always had a cheerful word, or 100. It drove me nuts. That dog was even happy when it rained.
"Rain is where rainbows come from,"
Lucky said.
"I love rainbows, don't you? I could chase them all day."
"Why don't you go and chase them so I can get some quiet around here?" I growled. After a while, Lucky learned not to talk so much, especially when I first woke up in the evening. I won't say we became friends, but she got to be slightly less annoying. Speaking of annoying, remember that human I mentioned a while back? The oddball who believed in leprechauns? That's right, Professor Chester. Well, he started snooping around my park. "He's after my gold!" I cried.
"Maybe he just wants to be friends,"
Lucky suggested. I snorted. Humans only want one thing from a leprechaun, gold. But he won't get the best of Mackenzie O'Shamrock. Professor Chester was getting dangerously close. He even found a fairy shoe.
"Don't worry, Mac,"
said Lucky.
"You've got your guard dog, remember? I won't let anything happen to your gold.
I took no comfort in the mutt's ravings. I watched Professor Chester poring over his books of leprechaun lore. If only I could prove their existence, he muttered. I shuddered.
Maybe he'll just go away,
Lucky said. I thought about packing up, but I liked my cozy life under the tree. Besides, business was good, and it's not so easy to find a park filled with fairies. Then one day, while I was sleeping, the professor found my tree. He was about to capture me, and then he would have gotten my gold for sure. When... Whoa, 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 whoa! Lucky came charging out of the woods. The professor cried, "Help! Monster! Help!" He dropped his map and he ran off screaming. I thought I was having a nightmare, so I rolled over with a groan and fell right back to sleep. Professor Chester kept running until he wore out the soles of his shoes. It turns out the professor was scared of dogs. That evening, I woke up feeling something was wrong. For one thing, the dumb dog wasn't licking my face. Suddenly, with a jerk, I remembered my nightmare. I checked for my gold all in my secret hiding place. It was gone, and so was Lucky. I called Lucky's name until my voice was hoarse, but there was no answer. I felt as if I'd lost my shadow and my friend. Then it hit me. My worst fear had come true. The dog wasn't as silly as she seemed. Lucky had duped me into trusting her. As soon as I'd let down my guard, she'd run off with my gold. I, Mackenzie O'Shamrock, the smartest leprechaun of them all, had finally been tricked out of my treasure. I searched the park for hours, but there was no sign of my gold or of Lucky. I told myself the dog had skipped off with my treasure, but part of me didn't believe it. One minute I was furious, and the next I was worried. What if that stupid pooch had chased a rainbow into traffic or gotten herself taken to the pound? I couldn't even keep my mind on me missing gold. By dawn, I was the saddest leprechaun in the world. After centuries of being suspicious, I'd finally opened my heart and pow! The first friend I'd made had stolen my gold. The sun came up and I wiped away a tear. Then a voice behind me said,
"Why are you crying?"
I turned and saw Lucky and my gold. "Where were you?" I yelled. I was worried sick. Lucky licked my face.
"Oh, you do care. I knew we'd be friends."
I wiped the dog's slobber from my face and grumbled, I was worried about my gold. Lucky explained that she'd seen Professor Chester nosing around near my tree. After she'd chased him away, she'd hidden my treasure in the tool shed just to make sure it was safe. Then, worn out from all the excitement, she'd fallen asleep.
"Did you really spend all night looking for me?"
Lucky asked. "And the gold," I added hastily. But the damage was done. The dog knew I cared, and she wouldn't stop wagging her tail over it. So there's my story. Leprechaun gets gold. Leprechaun gets dog. Leprechaun loses gold. Leprechaun admits that a loyal friend is worth more than gold, as long as the friend doesn't slobber too much. Now, if that isn't a tale worth telling upon a toadstool, I'm sure I don't know what is. Did you like that story? I like that story. Now, what was the setting? Remember we learned about the setting is the where and when the story takes place? What was the setting of that story? They were in a park, weren't they? In the park where Mackenzie O'Shamrock lived, where the fairies were. Who were the characters? We had Mackenzie O'Shamrock the leprechaun. What other characters? Lucky the dog. And there was one more. The oddball professor, Professor Chester. Is this book fiction or nonfiction? That's right, that's not a true story. It's a fiction story. Now, boys and girls, in this book, Mackenzie O'Shamrock the leprechaun, he hid his gold underneath the tree. And then, when Lucky thought that Professor Chester might take it, he went and hid the gold in the shed. If you were a leprechaun and you had a lot of gold, where would you hide your gold? I think if I was a leprechaun, I will hide my gold in a box. Do you think we could write that? Let's see if we can write that sentence together. Okay, our sentence always starts with what? A capital letter. My first word was I. I'm going to pull down, cross, and across. Now what goes after every word? A space. I'm going to put a space. I will. W. I. What's at the end? O. It's actually 2 L's. Some of you already know how to write that word. I will, space, hide, I-D, H-I, hide. I hear a D. Oh, does that say hide? No, that says I-D. What letter can I put at the end that will tell that I to say its name? You're right, a silent E. I will hide my. And remember that Y can make an I sound when it's at the end of a word. I will hide my, no room. Where do I go? Back around. I will hide my gold. G. Gold. It's got an L. Gold. Gold. N. You know N. I. N. A. Oh, I didn't do a very good A. Let's erase it and try it again. Remember my circle. Up and down. In a box. Oh, we can do that word. What's it start with? B-A-X. What's the first sound? B. B. Remember, back first, then ball. B-A-A-O. Box. It's a tricky letter. Box. X. Boys and girls, what goes at the end of a sentence? A period. Good job. Let's read my sentence together. I will hide my gold in a box. How many words are in our sentence? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 words are in our sentence. Now let's check. Did I start with a capital letter? Did I put a period at the end? Did I put spaces between my words? Did I make my tall letters tall, like my I, my L, my H, my D, my L and D and B? I did. Did I make my short letters short? Did I remember to make G go down below? I did. I will hide my gold in a box. Now I want to know, where are you going to hide your gold? So you can get a piece of paper out, and I want you to write a sentence about where you would hide your gold. You can make it one sentence, or some of you might want to write two. You might even want to write a whole story about what your leprechaun would do with their gold. Then be sure to be the illustrator too and draw me a picture. And if you want to send me a picture of what you wrote and drew, I would love to see it. All right, have a great St. Patrick's Day. Bye.